Log on to patreon.com/Dane Calloway or paypal.me/Dane Calloway to support me, my channel, and my content. Any amount is very much appreciated, and I humbly thank you. By demand, merchandise is now available at I'mJustHereToMakeYouThink.com.
These dreamers are citizens, really, I believe. They're paying taxes. They've been paying taxes since birth or since they got here. They're going to college at a rate higher than most people who claim to be just American citizens. And their contribution to this economy in this country is well over $250 billion a year. We're getting ready to look at about a $500 billion loss just because we want to hate. Let's get this straight. This has nothing to do with anything other than hate. If you soft pedal it any other way, you're lying and you give excuse to being able to kick people out.
In the end, I think that he's messed up a lot, and I think that a lot of people who pretend to support him are looking for a way out. I think that you got a man talking about, well, Mexico's going to build a wall, and now we're going to have to pay for it, or he'll shut down the government. You got a guy that basically reads from a teleprompter. Everybody tells me how presidential he is. If reading from a teleprompter makes you president, then painting by the numbers makes me Picasso.
Well, I have a great heart for the folks we're talking about. A great love for them. And people think in terms of children, but they're really young adults. I have a love for these people, and hopefully now Congress will be able to help them and do it properly. And I can tell you, in speaking to members of Congress, they want to be able to do something and do it right. And really, we have no choice. 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 I don't know if too many of you have heard it. It's time to make America great again. Has anybody heard that expression? So that's what we're doing. We're making America great again. We're making America great again. We're making America great again.
Millions of Americans are being blatantly steered in devastatingly wrong directions when it comes to crucially important information regarding their respective well-being, mainly due to who is set as the driver and who is overwatching the driver's position as the navigator. Now, before I go any further, be advised that the analogy that I just mentioned is not for the weak-hearted, because this rabbit hole goes much deeper than one may assume. I will continuously spread unconventional information to the public throughout all of my articles and videos. And of course, this segment won't be any different. However, I highly suggest that you do pay close attention to detail with everything that you're about to see and hear throughout both parts of this segment. Now let's continue. As of recent, there has been lots of media controversy surrounding President Trump's decision to reverse a bill that was sitting on the edge of the table to become law. Local and national news media stations loves to compare President Trump's motions while in office to former President Obama's previous motions while in office, to portray an illusion as if either party is any different from each other. For example, popular news media stations made it seem as if President Obama started the quote, DREAM Act bill during his presidential term, when in fact the bill was introduced in the Senate on August 1st, 2001 by Senators Dick Durbin, a Democrat of the state of Illinois, and Orrin Hatch, a Republican of the state of Utah. And who was president then? Republican George W. Bush. What's very important to note, this DREAM Act does not specify which group or groups of races they are referring to. So, if you are stating that your origins comes from a different continent, deeming yourself as a quote, African American, for example, you are inadvertently titling yourself as an undocumented immigrant due to the fact that you were not granted to have dual citizenship. I'll explain this in more detail later on in this segment. According to Congress, the DREAM Act, also known as the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors Act, is still documented as a proposal for a strict multi-phase process for qualifying alien minors, or rather immigrant children in the United States, that would either grant conditional or permanent residency upon meeting further specified qualifications and requirements. In other words, this bill would have helped with granting legal status to certain undocumented immigrants who were brought to the United States by their parents or family members as children, and also attended American schools. This is where the term dreamer arises from. From 2001 until now, some Republicans, but mainly Democrats, worked diligently to make a compromise regarding the DREAM Act, but many other representatives in both the House and the Senate voted against it. During his presidency, Barack Obama pledged to reintroduce the DREAM Bill to the House by November 29th, 2010.
We'll live up to our character as a nation. That's exactly what we're talking about here. That's why we're here.
Please use your executive
That
order
is-
to halt deportations for all 11.5 undocumented immigrants in this country right now.
What we're
we
trying-
agree that we need to pass comprehensive immigration reform. At the same time, you have a power to stop deportation for all undocumented
Actually, I
immigrants
don't.
in this country.
And that's why we're
Please,
here.
I need your help.
Okay.
Stop deportation! Stop deportation!
Thank you. All right.
Stop deportation!
What I'd like to do. No, don't worry about it, guys. Okay, let me finish. Let me. How about these guys don't need to go. Let me finish. No. You can stay there. Let me. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. So, I respect the passion of these young people because they feel deeply about the concerns for their families. Now, what you need to know when I'm speaking as President of the United States, and I come to this community, is that if, in fact, I could solve all these problems without passing laws in Congress, then I would do so. But we're also a nation of laws. That's part of our tradition. And so the easy way out is to try to yell and pretend like I can do something by violating our laws. And what I'm proposing is the harder path, which is to use our democratic processes to achieve the same goal that you want to achieve. But it won't be as easy as just shouting. It requires us lobbying and getting it done. So,
And the House of Representatives did in fact pass it on December 8th, 2010, but it failed to reach the 60-vote threshold in order to pass in the Senate. On June 15th, 2012, President Obama announced his administration would stop deporting illegal immigrants who match certain criteria included in the proposed DREAM Act.
effective immediately, the Department of Homeland Security is taking steps to lift the shadow of deportation from these young people. Over the next few months, eligible individuals who do not present a risk to national security or public safety will be able to request temporary relief from deportation proceedings and apply for work authorization.
Then, exactly 2 months later, on September 15, 2012, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services began accepting millions of applications under the Obama administration's new program entitled DACA. The DACA program, better known as the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Program, immediately addressed the immigration status of the same exact people as did the DREAM Act. However, this decision was a temporary measure set in place while the Obama administration awaited for Congress to take action with reforming immigration policies. DACA is in fact not equivalent to the DREAM Act. It just temporarily halted the deportation of illegal non-criminal immigrants and undocumented immigrant children for a total of 2 consecutive years beginning in 2012. Obama attempted to extend the DACA policy to other immigrants, plus for more years, in 2014, based on pledges he made during his second presidential election campaign. This rubbed many political figures the wrong way, leading to multiple states suing in order to prevent the expansion. However, the courts ultimately blocked it. But wait a minute. Does that mean a president has more power than the U.S. Constitution? If so, then does the U.S. Constitution even exist anymore?
In 2014, listen to what he did. President Obama signed this thing called the Copenhagen Treaty. Now, what you're going to see right now when you look this up, you can't find us no more. They took this down. What they only have up now is the Copenhagen Agreement, making adjustments for, what was it? It was something else. It was something else, not dealing with this, though. I'm going to tell you that. It was just a big cover. Oh, the gun rights. Something like that. It was like his Second Amendment and stuff like that. But listen to this. It was the trick. They put the agreement out there, and then they put the treaty out there, the Copenhagen Treaty. The Copenhagen Treaty is in effect, all right, where the United States handed over the United States Constitution to the United Nations. The United States Constitution is no more. Listen to me closely. It's gone, y'all. That's why everything is in rogue right now. All right, the police officers know that, the military know that, but the media might know, but I don't think so. But they're not going to say, if they do know, they're not going to tell you anyway, because this world will go into uproar.
Let me say this. Propagandic agendas are set up to continuously plague all Americans unless they are cognizant of not what's going on around them, but merely what's going on right in front of them. Why? Well, a great explanation would be this. The Department of Homeland Security rescinded the expansion of DACA on June 16, 2017. Which this motion wasn't covered by local and national news media stations, nor any social media sites, due to the simplicity of its popularity overall at that time period, allegedly. I said that to say this. The news shorthanded the reporters covering the announcement that the Trump administration has officially stopped DACA and will be deporting some 800,000 undocumented immigrants back to their homelands. This entire ordeal was completely overshadowed due to a, quote, major crisis simultaneously occurring in America, purposely throwing your attention away from what's really happening right in front of you. During the latter part of July and throughout the month of August, we were all informed of Hurricane Harvey approaching America. News media stations began to make Hurricane Harvey the top story, barely covering news about Trump rescinding the DREAM Act or DACA. This should also make you question whether if these most recent hurricanes, like Harvey and Irma, were either God-sent or man-made, because not everything is a conspiracy, but not everything happens out of pure coincidence neither.
The U.S. military says HAARP is merely being used to study the physical and electrical properties and behavior of the ionosphere for both civilian and defense purposes. But another theory has surfaced. The intense energy being beamed into the sky by HAARP is actually heating up the atmosphere,
causing weather changes.
HAARP is being used for weather modification.
The military's own record proves it. They've admitted it within their own documents, and yet they still deny it to the public.
I'm just here to make